Yo, 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 welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. And before we get to our guest today, we have a big shout out for Living Sisu. Living Sisu is a platform and app that wants to give you all the tools to have success in your sport. Their main objective is to activate your lifestyle. So it's for active people. Enjoy discounts at companies like BioSteel, 30% off, Body Logics, the Goalie Guild, all his books are discounted. Roan, Lululemon for men, 20% off. Online stretching programs with Eccentrics, 1 full month free. They got super silent massage guns, 20% off those. And it's a great quality. It's way less expensive than a Theragun, and it's great quality. So there's so many more discounts that you guys will need to just become a member to see. So they want to provide you with anything you need for success. So come join the community. I'm a part of it. A bunch of other athletes are a part of it. So it's free to join. It takes 20 seconds to get exclusive offers to your sport, and it's definitely worth it. So do us a huge favor and go sign up for Living Sisu's membership. It's free, takes 20 seconds. So go do it, and we'll see you there. Living Sisu is a great company. We know one of the co-founders, Zach Fricali. He's a great guy. He's the co-founder. He does a lot of live streams on Instagram at Living Sisu, and with a bunch of elite athletes, and you learn a lot from like the athletes' determination, their resiliency, everything to what made them become successful. So it's been a great experience so far. So go on. I'm gonna leave the link in the description. So go sign up. Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we are joined by a very special guest, current professional goaltender Packy Munson. Packy is currently playing with Briancon of the Ligue Magnus in France. I probably butchered that, but we'll move on. So Packy played juniors in the North American Hockey League before playing for 3 different colleges in 3 years, before going pro and spending times overseas in the EIHL. And then finally the East Coast Hockey League in North America. Packy is also a Robertson Cup champion in the NAL, NCAA champion, and a WCHA champion. So welcome to the show, Packy Munson.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Happy to be here.
Yeah, no problem. So how have you been? You're over in Europe right now. So how's everything going there and like playing games now?
Yeah, it's been really strange just because, there's no fans. We play like 1 game a week, and at times it's like it's kind of weird to get your emotions fully into the game, and sometimes you almost have to like manufacture some sort of energy from like I mean, sometimes it sounds like hating the other team or like going, like just try and find something to get going, because sometimes it just feels like beer league. You're just out there playing, but 1 big hit or 1 big play and everyone kind of starts playing. But yeah, no, it'll be nice when it's over and get back to the normal part of hockey. But it hasn't been bad. I've been lucky to be playing, and a lot of guys I know are playing. So it's definitely don't take a day for granted, for sure.
Yeah, so like what have you been doing? Because I'm sure you're probably like in lockdown mode over there. So what have you been doing besides going to the rink?
Man, it's crazier. So we have 6 p.m. curfew, and like there's like cops out. You're not allowed to be outside. Yeah. So and there's no restaurants in our city that are open. So I mean, man, it's a lot of, we go to the rink, and honestly, we enjoy being there. We have a great, like a really fun team, and most of the guys speak English. I mean, almost everybody does, including our coach. So it's not like the real Euro experience where you're like sitting there going, what the heck's going on? But no, man, we go to the rink. We stay after. We all hang out, throw the football around, play a little soccer, and then come home and just some Xbox. And that's about it, man. It's a lot of cooking, trying to stay busy, man.
Yeah, and playing football, soccer with the boys, like no better feelings than being at the rink and just shooting the shit with the boys.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's kind of what it is, man. I mean, like I said, we're lucky we have a good locker room, and like all the guys, it's funny. Most of the guys have never thrown American football around, so they're every day is kind of teaching them how to catch footballs, and a couple of guys have gotten pretty good at it, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that must be interesting and just fun to see the guys just trying to throw football, and they can.
Oh man, they're it's so unathletic. It's crazy. You laugh. It's pretty good.
Yeah. What video games have you been playing since you've been playing Xbox?
Yeah, I play a lot of NHL. I got a couple of buddies. Oops, sorry, hold on. call there. I've got a lot of buddies, that a couple guys that play at Ohio State and a couple of guys that play in the Cleveland Monsters. We all play ECHL together. And other than that, just a little Fortnite here and there, but mostly just chill.
Yeah, nothing better than chill or Fortnite. So you got that going. So that's anything to stay
basic.
busy. Yeah. Hey,
right?
I'm basic too. So it's all good.
For sure.
So you grew up in Hugo, Minnesota. So what was growing up in Minnesota like and playing youth hockey over there?
Everywhere I've been, it's been tough for me to find a better place to grow up as a hockey player than Minnesota. And obviously Canada is obviously a great spot too. But just the youth hockey in Minnesota, there's just so many good hockey players, and it seems like every team, like growing up, had a player that went on to play junior or was even played college. So it was like the competition's unmatched, and I hear buddies say they pay all this money and travel all this way for hockey, and I'm like, I drove 10 minutes to the rink, and my parents, besides gear, I don't think they paid too much money for the hockey part. So definitely blessed to do that. And I had a really good high school experience. I was able, I got to make the state tournament, and it's still cool to go back and help them out. So it's a really cool community to definitely play high school hockey for sure.
Yeah. So when did you start playing hockey, and why'd you end up enjoying the game so much?
I started playing hockey because all my buddies went to it, and I was sick of being left out. And none of my family ever played hockey. Like my parents, to be honest, they know nothing about hockey. Like nobody knew anything about it. And my dad was he played professional softball and was a big baseball guy, and so was my grandpa. So I had a couple uncles that are quarterbacks in the NFL. No one ever played hockey. It was just way out there. And so I went there to hang out with my buddies, and one day I was watching a practice of an older group, and the team won. They jumped on the goalie. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Didn't know I had to stop pucks or anything. And I always asked my dad, I'm like, was I super into it? I don't have a ton of memory of it. I was just always just going, it was okay, let's go. And I must have been okay at it. And I was always a goalie, and it was cool. I always had a team to play for, and got lucky to get picked for some teams growing up. And yeah, man, it's kind of weird. Just kind of lucked into it.
Yeah, it's crazy how we turn into goalies really quick, and just by seeing the goalies out there and just wanting to be one, get shots, place at our heads, place everywhere around us. It's pretty crazy why we are goalies, but it's a fun position.
It's yeah, man. I love playing forward and stuff even to this day. In the summers, love playing forward, whatever. But I don't know. There's just something so unique about the position. I mean, it's like being the quarterback, being the pitcher. You just every night there's pressure. Everything is it's on your shoulders, and it's cool to be the guy, especially when you win and you can be a guy that can. It's cool. It's the best feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And I love playing forward too. I was in the pond the other day, and that brings back memories of youth hockey and just scoring goals again. But there's nothing unmatched being a goalie, and it's just so much fun.
Right. Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah. So you then went on to juniors after you played in high school. So what was the process like to get a shot on the null for the Fairbanks Ice Dogs? Did you attend their main camp, get a tryout? What went on to get your time in Fairbanks?
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of just the story of my entire hockey career was just kind of a lot of right timing, a lot of luck. I mean, I feel like I was kind of really good when I was younger, 8 to 10 range. I was one of the better goalies in Minnesota. And there was a little spurt there where I was really good. And then I kind of a couple years where I wasn't so good. And then my senior year of high school, I got really lucky, and we our team just hired a goalie coach who I'm still really close with today. And, he kind of brought out the best, attributes of my game. And I had a really good senior year, but I had no, tenders. There was no teams banging at the door. I wasn't talking to USHL teams. You'd get an email or something, but it wasn't I was ever really a prospect. So, I know my parents were they're always stressed. They're what's going to happen? I'm I don't know. It'll work out. And Fairbanks had kind of seen me a couple of times in high school, but it wasn't they were super committed or anything. They just invited me to main camp and said, if I had a good camp, we'll see what happens. But it wasn't oh, we got to have you, you're on the team. There was nothing, but I got put on a good team at camp and had a good camp. And, I made the team out of main camp, and we had 3 goalies. three goalies for the showcase, and it was pretty much came down to like we each got a game. Whoever looked better like made the team. Like it was like put up or show up. And like I only had like 17 shots in my game, and the other game the guy got like kind of got lit up, and so it was like I only have one goal, and they're like, yeah, like you're on the team. And I was like okay, like it's just like stupid luck like that, you know. Like, I could have got the game where I got shelled, and suddenly I don't play hockey for that. So it's just kind of random, man. Kind of works. It just everything kind of always just falls into place.
Yeah, exactly. You got to make the most of those opportunities that are given to you, and just work your tail off and see where it gets you. Like it got you a time, or got you time in Fairbanks, and you stayed. Right. So like just the opportunity came.
Yeah, and you know, again, having coming from a family of no hockey, like I barely knew what junior hockey was. Like you kind of heard about it, you know. In Minnesota, it was like if I don't go to ECHL, I'm quitting. Like everyone said that, you know. Like I'm not going to the NA. Like well, like and North American League's a great league, and Fairbanks is arguably the best place to go because it's just been known how many guys they move on to college, and it's such a cool experience to live in Alaska. So yeah, I was extremely fortunate to go there, and extremely fortunate how well it worked out and how much I developed there.
Yeah, so you got the chance to play in 17 games your first season of junior hockey in Fairbanks, and you put up some great numbers. You had 2.18 goals against average, 0.921 save percentage. So, like, what was your overall experience like playing in Fairbanks and getting used to the NAL game?
The NAL was obviously like we had such a good team. I mean, our team that year we only lost I think 9 games, and our coach was Trevor Stewart, who's pretty awesome, and he was definitely the most intense coach I've ever played for. So it didn't matter. I mean, we would go on an 8-game win streak. We lost 1 game. He would the next practice would be hell on wheels, man. It was tough. So he never let us get comfortable, and I mean, it was the hardest year of hockey in the sense that like every start I felt like was game 7 for me because I knew that I was the backup. They had a guy who was returning who was obviously very talented, and Kevin, and they had a lot of belief in Kevin. So it was like, I kind of knew what my role was, and I would go on spurts where I'd play a few games in a row and play really well. And, but I knew my role, and it was cool, you know? So it was kind of known that how they did it there was you sat your year, and then the next year you were the guy. And I was very comfortable with it. So, there's a ton of great people in Fairbanks, which made it even better. And, yeah, man, it was a great experience. At times it was tough because it was the first time being away and -60, dark all the time. Like, kind of depressing, but then you realize, you know, you're playing hockey, it could be worse. So it could always be a lot worse. You're playing hockey, you should be pretty grateful. So it was really positive, and I said there's a ton of great people there. Still, every time they come to Minnesota, I always try and go see them. So it's a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, how important was it to play the backup role that year, and just like you said, like play every game like a game 7, and just be there for support for the starting goalie, and just help him as well as like he's helping you too. Like, how important was that to you?
Yeah, I mean, it was an experience for sure. I mean, I'd had it in high school, but it's so minimal in high school. We don't play 25 games, so it's like, you know, you just want to play every game. And I've always been someone like it's not that I don't like being a backup, but I want to play. You know, I want to be the guy. Like I don't like being the guy on the bench because, and then just my own mindset, I'm like, I could have stopped that. Like every goalie who's on the bench, like I would stop that. You know, it's just kind of the natural mindset. But I think when the role was sort of fine, like when I was young, like I had still 2 more years, and I kind of plan on coming in next year, like being the guy. So it really was just kind of soaking it all in, being supportive of Kev. Like whenever they called my number, I just tried to give the guys a chance. And like I said, we had such a talented group. I mean, probably 10, 12 guys went on to Division I and, you know, had good college careers. And we won the championship that year, and it was pretty it was pretty special, man. And it's kind of funny. Like I was the backup when we won the national championship there, and then we won the championship when I was the redshirt in Denver. And like it's such weird experiences being the backup goalie in those teams, because like sometimes you don't feel like you're really doing much, but you know, every part of the, you know, the machine matters, and you know that your practice, you know, how you do in practice, how you do in the locker room, you know, it matters. And so it's interesting for sure.
Yeah. So what was it like going to the Robertson Cup and like that experience? Because playoff hockey is a whole different thing, especially in every league. Like it gets more intense, more heated quickly, and like you learn a lot more too. It's like, what were some of the things you learned from that experience?
Well, Fairbanks was like really unique in the sense that we had like our fan base was awesome. Like it is the best place to play in a league, simply because every night you're playing a sold out rink that's like everyone is pretty hammered and pretty into it. So it's like in those games, that was the first year they did the championship not at a neutral site. They actually did it at home site. So we got to win the championship in Fairbanks. Like, how proud that hockey community is. Like, you have no idea how, like there was like people crying. Like, it was a huge deal. So, and just, the focus of, the veterans and those guys, like learning how to, not carry much over in the emotional part, but really, tactically understand what you got to do to win the next game. But we kind of rolled through that playoffs, man. We were so talented, so good. So it was cool.
That's unreal, and just like the experiences you gained over that stretch, and then the following year, you were the guy. You played 35 games. So, like, What was it like getting the spotlight your second year and really getting the reps and the games in?
So the craziest part of that year was I was the guy for the first half. I had probably like 4 goalie partners, and I remember going into Christmas break where I was heading home, and I think I had like 5 or 6 games where I was like, it was like 1 goal against it. Like that was it. Like I was playing really well, and our team was playing really well. And Stewie calls me and he goes, "Hey, our goalie from last year is leaving college and coming back to the team." And he's like, Are you okay with that? And I'm like, what am I going to say? Like, no, like, screw him. Like, no, he's a great guy and great goalie partner. So I was like, yeah, like, bring Kevin back. But like, I'm kind of rolling right now. Like, what's that going to do? And he's like, we'll kind of just figure it out. Like, you're obviously, high in our whatever. Like, we trust you, whatever. So I was like, okay, see how it goes. And he came back and we split. Like, we just split through playoff like the rest of the year. And it was just such a hard position because like you're the guy, the team's doing well, but Kevin, who just won the championship, is like loved by the town. Like, but in that part, I was like, okay, I had really started to feel like my game was getting to a good spot. And so it was challenging, but it was a good situation. And and then I started to get talked to a few colleges, but again, I wasn't really a high prospect. Like, I wasn't choosing between a ton of schools. Like, it was Vermont had called and the Gophers had called, but it wasn't like either team were saying, "Hey, we're going to give you, full rides and you're going to come in and be the guy." It was kind of like, hey, it was unique, man. And it ended up going right. I chose Vermont on kind of a low risk, high reward play for them. And then that was kind of it. We lost in playoffs. I was a starter in playoffs and ended up losing the second round, which was tough, but I was excited to move on after that.
Yeah, so like you went 24-2 that second year that you're just talking about. So like, what do you think was the biggest thing that helped your team and yourself be so successful, and like how important it was for you to, especially in those first few months where you were the guy, like to help you become a better goaltender?
And another thing that was crazy of that is that we had a guy that was he was kind of a goalie mentor, but he was never on the ice with us. It wasn't like we were doing goalie skates, so I never really had a goalie coach in junior. So which is obviously challenging. So it's kind of just, our team was a good team. We were obviously skilled. I had a lot of turnover from the year before, but we had a lot of guys that we still knew could play. And playing on a good team, knowing they were going to put pucks in, that gives you a little bit of confidence that you can play loose. And it was just, I was really comfortable with that, with how the team was and playing in front of them. And it just kind of worked out. We were winning a lot of games and had a lot of success. It was good. It was just a good team that like Fairbanks is always good. So if you do your job, you're gonna have success.
Always great to play for some good teams and just have that defense be stellar in front of you and just make your job a lot easier.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So going off like that you didn't have a goalie coach in juniors, like what would you do during like practices to help your like goaltending like get better? Like would you just do random key pushes, like butterfly slides? Like what would you do?
Yeah. So like when I was a senior in high school, we got a goalie coach, and again, like my game was always like super athletic, but I was out of control. Like I was just out there just playing. Like I was just trying to stop the puck. There wasn't a game plan to my what I was doing. And he instilled very basic. He just instilled very basic game plans for me in high school, and I tried to carry it over as much as I could to junior. But a lot of it, honestly, man, there wasn't really anything special. Like I would do a couple of things, but I've just always been someone that's like, I'm just gonna do whatever I can to keep the puck out of net. I got good size. I'm athletic, and we'll just we'll see how it goes. So, like when it came to really getting elite goalie coaching and like really going into depth of my game, that didn't happen until I was a freshman in college.
Yeah, so going in your freshman year of college, you played for 3 different schools in 3 different years. You played for University of Vermont, University of Denver, and then finally Michigan Tech University. So it's not the ideal situation. It's like what was that whole experience like in playing just switching schools every year?
How much time do we got? No, I'm just kidding. So it's unique, man. Like I said, I always wanted to be the guy that was playing, I'd always had success when I was the guy that was playing. I was always able to win and and play well, and I was lucky I was on good teams. So when I first got to college, I broke my hand like 2 days before we played the Gophers, which would have been at Minnesota, which was like kind of like crazy. But I wasn't the starter. Like they brought me in on a low scholarship. I wasn't really in their plans. I was a guy that was just going to kind of be the, maybe a backup or whatever. And, but after I broke my hand, they had hired a full-time goalie coach, a goalie player before, Jeff Hill. And he took me like under his wing, and the fact that like we worked so hard every day, like every morning we were out there for just me and him working on skating. Like he really taught me how to be a goalie in a sense where I wasn't just trying to stop the puck. There was a real game plan to everything that I was doing, and there was a lot of structure to my game. And as someone who's like I was a good size and like really good athleticism, like I was super flexible, but it was all about making easy saves and not having to work so hard to make saves. And when our starting goalie got hurt around Christmas time, like they were like, all right, you're gonna play now. And like if you'd have put me in a month or two earlier, like I would have got killed. Like I was getting shelled, like it wasn't good. And like Hilly got me to the point where I was like I'm ready, like let's go. And like first game I got a shutout, and like just from there, like I kind of rolled, and like we won the Christmas tournament right after that at home. And like I was just kind of the guy the rest of the way. And we only won like 4 games at Christmas, and we ended up I think going like 10-10 for the rest of the year. So it was just like, okay, like everything's great. Like I was really comfortable there. Like I loved Vermont. Jeff was like my biggest supporter, like helped me get to a point where NHL teams were interested, like teams were watching. Like I was feeling really good about myself, about my game. And when our senior graduated, we had known that we were bringing in a freshman goalie who was a full ride guy, Stefanos Lekas, who's obviously a very talented goalie. And there wasn't a ton of love when it came to like giving any sort of scholarship boost or really saying, hey, we believe in you. And it just, at the time I was like, look, I really like where my game is at, and I think I can really contribute to a good college team. And so I decided to transfer after talking to my family. And it kind of crazy. I was again, the Gophers called back, and I was really interested in them. And then I had a buddy who played for Denver, Blake Hillman, and just kind of reached out and asked their goalie situation was. And had always kind of dreamed of playing for Denver, just in a weird sense of the WCHA. They were just kind of always the team I liked. And they had called, and they were really interested. They had a goalie, obviously Tanner Gillette, who was a really special goaltender in college, one of the best college players you could ever have. And in all reality, hindsight 2020, I was really just an insurance policy in case he left early. So, and knowing they're at the time, again, I didn't really know much about this stuff. Like I didn't like have a family member that played, that you had to look at what goalies were coming in, like what's their scholarship situation. Like they offered me a great scholarship for my redshirt year. So I'm thinking, perfect, I'm going there. Like you just kind of take the best option at the time, but prior knowledge. So, I went there, you redshirted. I mean, unbelievable team, unbelievable school, unbelievable, organization in the hockey part. And I mean, those were the best years of my life for sure. And even never playing a game, it was just the best, great. It's unbelievable. And win the national championship in Chicago, unbelievable experience. Like even being a redshirt guy, like I remember just being behind the bench with our strength coach the whole way. And it was just like, it was such a cool thing. Like going on the ice, we won, like it was awesome. It was one of the best nights ever. And I just remember a couple months later, and Tanner was kind of, he had won the Richter Award. He was supposed to move on, and I hadn't played all year, so I'm like, all right, I'm ready to. I'm thinking he's going to sign, and I'm like, I want to play. Like this is great, and we were such a great team, and Monty's the best coach ever. And when Tanner never got really an offer to go pro, like he's like, I'm coming back, and I remember Monty kind of being very honest. He's like, yeah, like it's going to be really hard for you to play. Like Tanner's my guy. Like he just played every game, and we won a natty. Like. Yeah, that's not. I mean, it's it's tough. You want to play, and so it was kind of like a hard decision, and I kind of made it pretty known to him, like I really wanted to play. And after a couple more talks, like it was pretty evident. It was just like there really just wasn't a fit. They were bringing in a new freshman, and who was a highly touted NHL prospect at the time, and it was just kind of like I'm kind of got the short end of the stick out of the thing, which. I don't regret a single thing, even just we won a national championship, and I made some lifelong friends. So after that, Monty really helped me get to the next place, and Michigan Tech called, and ended up going there, and wasn't exactly the experience that I was kind of told, but it ended up working out perfectly. We won the WCHA and had a tough break against Notre Dame, but it was another great experience too. So it was college. College wasn't exactly how you draw it up, but I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. Like I was a part of championship teams, made a ton of friends, played in 3 different conferences that were all top 20. It was elite program, so it was great. It was an awesome experience.
Yeah, that
was a lot.
Hey, but it's all worth it. Like that's a crazy path to think about where you are now and just everything you went through, and just you won a few championships along the way with that. So there's nothing bad about that. So like what do you think would be the biggest takeaway that you went throughout all those 3 years and just of playing college hockey? Like what were some of the biggest things you learned those years?
I realized that, I understood the luck and how things need, some things just don't go your way. I never had hard feelings for situations not working out. I mean, the plans that the teams had for me weren't the plans that I had for myself, which is, that just happens with hockey. You think you're going to come there and be the superstar or whatever. And maybe it doesn't materialize, or, you just want to be, the best you can be. But I don't know. I've always, kind of prided myself on my perseverance. Even if it's mistakes that I made, or the hard lessons you learn through it, I learned from every mistake I made, even the tough ones, even mistakes you really regret, you still learn from them. And it really shaped me to the point where I am now, where just understanding, who I am as a person, what I am as a goaltender, and understanding, that it's okay if things don't work out. Like everything works out for a reason, and as long as you keep working hard and you're grateful for everything that you get, you'll always be able to accomplish whatever you want to accomplish in this game.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway that you learned. Just giving it your all, like, and no matter what your situation is, like no path's going to be easy, and your path proved that. So like it wasn't easy for you, but you made it through, and you're playing pro now. So I would consider that a pretty successful path so far.
So I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it would have been nice if it was a little bit easier, it would have been okay, but I got no regrets about it. It's been a great time. So
yeah, so college hockey is known for like their fan sections and everything. So like how crazy is it to be playing in front of some of those fan sections that you probably played against, and just like what were some of the fun, like the best chants that you've heard throughout your time in college hockey?
Yeah, I got to see a lot of rings, got to play at a lot of places and almost every conference. So, it was kind of a different experience everywhere we went. Hockey East had so much history. I remember we went to Maine, was like the first college game we went on the road in Hockey East, and like that building was so unique, but the fans were like right on top of you, and like you're just some of the crazy
probably
chants,
giving it
like,
to you.
Man, they had a goal horn for warm-ups. So whenever I got in the net and I gave a goal, you're hearing goal horns. I'm like, that's awesome. Like that's like, okay, I made it. Like this is cool. This is way cool. So that was pretty awesome. And then I remember Hockey East, like thinking back now, like there was obviously like our fan base in Vermont was insane. Like it was always packed and like super cool. But most of those fan bases like BU, BC, like it wasn't the fan bases that I'd kind of hoped for those top programs. And then when I went to the NCHC, it was kind of the same thing. North Dakota is like, it's tough to like really beat that. But a lot of those fan bases are, they're kind of pro atmosphere in a sense. Like Denver's, like we had a good student section, but it was a very like pro atmosphere. Like, it wasn't like crazy chants, but everyone was into it, So it was, that was kind of unique in that sense. Michigan Tech was like, again, kind of up there with North Dakota. Like every night was sold out, craziest group of students. Like some of the most like, and I mean, it's the best way possible, like strangest people I've ever met in my life at that place, but they love hockey and they were like into every game. So Michigan Tech, like their fans, they bleed that stuff, man. We would have, remember we're in playoffs against Mankato, and like we had like half an arena of like Michigan Tech students. It's like, how does that happen? It's like how do these people travel? Just like you wouldn't believe. Like there's a group of students that traveled every game. Alaska, like they were there. It was just like, I respect
vacation right there.
Yeah. Beautiful vacation, Alaska in December. That's what they all do. But those guys are really into it. It's pretty cool. That's the best part of college hockey, man. Like every game feels so important just because of the student factor, and it just feels cool, and when you guys win, you get to go out after, and all your buddies and you see in class, everyone's all fired up because you guys won, and it's cool. It's a cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely. That must have been so much fun to play in. So then after your time at Michigan Tech, you decided to go play pro overseas for the Nottingham Panthers in the EIHL. So like, what was the process like to find a team in Nottingham and overseas?
Yeah, like I said, after my junior in Michigan Tech, like I felt like I was definitely ready to play professionally. Like, felt really good about my game, and like I said, we kind of rolled through playoffs as a low seed, but I was kind of top my game at that point. And when things didn't materialize there, and I really didn't have much interest of going back to Michigan Tech by any means, it just kind of happened. There was an agent that reached out and they said, "Hey, like, do you ever felt like going to Europe?" And I was like, I do. I obviously want to stay in the US, but if it's a rare opportunity, like, I for sure go. And mulling it over, it ended up working out, going overseas and playing in a league with actually a ton of like NHL veterans and stuff. So it was a really cool league. We had a lot of great fan bases. Like, every game was super important to them. It kind of felt like college in that sense, where the fans were really, they were passionate about the game. And the biggest thing for me was learning the experience of being a pro. Like, we had Chris Stewart with a long NHL career, like Alex Bolduc had a long NHL career. And, there was like 5 or 6 guys that had hundreds of games in NHL. So, just learning from them how to be a pro, like what it takes. And it was great. I hope to go back and play there again someday. But after that year, I wanted to go back to the US and give it a shot. So I gave it a shot in the coast.
Yeah. So like, what was that transition like, going from playing North American college hockey to playing pro overseas in the UK?
Yeah, I mean, pro hockey is a different animal, man, because Europe's different than America. Because in America, it's way less, feelings, way less security. I mean, every game you're kind of fighting for your life, and you go to Europe, there's not much player movement. You get a pretty fair shake most of the time, and it's usually a great experience because it's just so unique to your culture. And so, yeah, the difference between college and pro is like obviously different, because you go to the rink, you leave the rink. It's not like you're going to hang out with your buddies and go to class. You're just on your own. And Nottingham was a huge European city, so it was kind of eye opening. Like, oh, well, it's 12 o'clock. I have nothing else to do the rest of the day. Like, just go buzz around. You always find something to do, and having it be such a big city, it was obviously cool. It was always just kind of hang out, man. It was cool. It was really neat.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that must have been a ton of fun, just getting to experience like being over in Europe and just everything that comes to play with it, especially the hockey side, and then alongside with like the out of like when you're not playing hockey, not at the rink. Like, that must have been a really cool experience as well, and getting to see like the culture there.
Oh yeah, you're England's, in a sense, you felt like you're just in a different part of America, because everything was, Americanized. You go to McDonald's, you go to Burger King, grab pizza. No, it wasn't like you were going to some, small town in Croatia where it's like no one speaks the language. So that was a perfect like first European experience. It's like, okay, I'm really far away from home. I don't know nobody here. Like, you kind of can do what you want, because it's not like, you don't know anybody. You're just kind of your own person, which is a really cool and kind of freeing experience. When you're not at the rink, you're just kind of your own person. And that's where I grew up a lot, I think, that year. And but it's yeah, pro hockey is a different animal for sure.
Yeah, so then throughout your time in Nottingham, you quickly became a fan favorite with the goal celebrations that you'd do after you guys would score. So like, how much fun did you have doing those, and like, what made you start doing them?
So I did that in college, and I even did it in junior too. And it all started in high school. In high school, there was a group of teachers that would stand in the corner at our games, and whenever we'd score, I'd go like celebrate with them. Like, let's go, like, it was just kind of get fired up. And then in junior, kind of the same thing. And in Fairbanks, there in that corner that I always skate to, it was like the Coors Light section or whatever, and this big group of like hard fans. And when we would score a big goal, like, it was kind of always just, kind of something with you and the fans, like they're a part of it. Like, let's go, like, we're going, whatever. And when I got to Vermont, I was doing it there too. But like, again, no one had ever like really noticed, because who's looking at the goalie when you score, right? So,
Yeah.
Vermont kind of started it where it was like people started to notice it just because there's way more people, and people are like, oh, that's so awesome. And I was like, yeah, I don't really think about it. I just get really fired up when we score. like it makes my job easier. We score 4 goals. I can sweat free back here. So yeah, and then I did it in Michigan Tech too, like a little bit. And then when I got to Nottingham, like, their fans were so incredible and so into it that I remember that first game, and I was obviously so jacked, like first pro start at home, when I was like 7,000-8,000 people, like it was just packed, and we win 7-3, but like every goal, I was just like, let's go. I just want to win, I just want to win. And we're just blowing this team out. It was just the best feeling. And sure enough, it was like a week later, and I get off the ice in practice, my phone is blowing up, and it's all my buddies sending me spit and chiclets going, this goalie is, effing electric or something like that. And I was just like, oh no. It's so cringy to watch, because like you're watching a guy go on one knee who did not score the goal, who had no contributor to the goal. And I'm just like a psycho person. Like I look crazy, but I love the game, man. Like I love when we score. Even now, it's like, it's the best feeling when we score, because especially when you make a big save or two, like, and you're really dialed in, and then your team goes out and scores a goal. It is just like, I've always been a guy that plays a lot of emotion. So it's like, let's fucking go. Like, and it's cool when the fans notice it and they get into it. And, one of my favorite ones is we won a playoff game in Nottingham, and it was a 0-0 game in the third, and we scored to make it 1-0. And then we got the empty net, like from my net, and like we all went and celebrate in the corner, and like the fans, it was like deafening. Like it was unbelievable. It was so cool. But yeah, that was a tough day when my secret shame decided to become public to the entire world. So yeah, I still get heat from that every time everyone talks to me about my celebrations. So
Packy Munson, the viral goalie who celebrates after his team scores a goal.
Yeah. It's probably a turn off to like NHL GMs who are like, yeah, this kid's like crazy, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I just love playing hockey. Like it's just fun for me. Like it's a game.
Yeah, you love the game, and like you just gotta add some more fun to it, especially with your team scoring a goal. It's a great feeling as a goalie when when the boys are just scoring and just helping you guys win, and then you make a big save or two, like you said, and goes all the way and scores. Like no better feeling.
Yeah, no better feeling in the world, especially when the fans, they're celebrating with you, and they're feeling that same energy, man. I'm sure for some goalies, like it would take them out of their funk, whatever, like that. Like we get an early goal or two, like it's over. I'm into it now. Like I'm having a time. So like, good luck scoring. It's kind of funny how it works out. But I when we score early and I get fired up, man, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love that. So then after the year in Nottingham, you spent some time in the ECHL for the Newfoundland Growlers, the Orlando Solar Bears, and the Fort Wayne Comets. And this was actually last year. It's like, what was it like coming back to North America and the transition from the EIHL to the coast?
Yeah, so I'd kind of minimal interest here at college. Every once in a while, a scout or somebody come and talk to you and, say we like your game, we're gonna keep watching. And I just remember when I was in Nottingham, it was the second time since Vermont that I actually had a goalie coach that really worked with me every day. And it's funny, the few times I've had goalie coaches, I felt like great years, like my game was really in a good spot. And my goalie partner was a KHL, like a longtime KHL, NHL goaltender. He was pretty adamant, he's like, you need to, kind of go back and give it a shot. And I was like, I know I should. And, out of nowhere, kind of got invited to the Chicago Wolves camp and ended up getting my first ever concussion the second day. So that was not ideal. But yeah, after that, Newfoundland had picked me up right out of camp, and I was there for a month. They had actually had injuries, and I loved it. Newfoundland was an unbelievable experience. There's a place to play in the coast. Like that's the place for sure. Like they treat you like kings there. And I just remember they had acquired a defenseman and took on an NHL contracted goalie from Anaheim. And how the coast works, man. It doesn't matter if you're playing better than the other kid. If he's in the contract, like, thanks for coming. And it was kind of like hard. You don't realize it until you're in. You're like, wow, that was kind of harsh. And but then I immediately got picked up by Fort Wayne, and I think I played like maybe 10, 15 games for Fort Wayne, and that was a really cool experience too. Like that's a big time fan base for minor league hockey. Like they made 10,000 seats. It's a big arena and a big time fan base. So that was I was with two NHL contracted goalies, and they kept me along, and I would be a starter for periods of time. And over time, I think our head coach got a little too much heat because he had, two NHL contract goalies from two different teams that, they wanted their guys playing, and seeing them sit behind me probably didn't make them too happy. So after a while, they kind of, they're like, okay, we're going to have to, trade you somewhere else, and went down to Orlando, and they had just kind of had some goalie injuries, and So I got down there and I played 2 games, and then the season got canceled. So it's like, oh, well, okay, we're done with the coast. And honestly, man, like the coast is awesome. And, I know buddies that, like, against my buddy Tyler Parks, like, worked his way up from the SP, got his shot in the coast and worked out. He was in the American League for a little bit. Now he's over doing really well in Slovakia. And, again, I want to talk about, get the right balance, right luck. Like, that's a place where you don't really know how it's ever going to go. Even whenever you're promised, whatever you're told, like, you have no idea how it's going to go. And it's kind of been my whole career. You get an opportunity, you try and make the most of it. You really enjoy the experience and see where it goes. And at the end of my time, and I said, I gave it my shot. I'd really like to go back to Europe and be the guy again and see how it goes. So here we are.
Yeah, but what a place to play in Orlando when it's warm.
Oh my God, dude! I was there for like 3 weeks, like the best 3 weeks of my life. We lived in a resort. It was unbelievable. I was like, I'm just never leaving. Like, this place is awesome. We play in the Magic's arena, like, beautiful weather. You get treated great. That's the funny part of that league too. Like, from team to team, you get treated differently. Like, there's no standard. Like, I got to Orlando, you got 2 new sets of gitch. You got sticks, you got sweatshirts, you got whatever. I remember getting to Fort Wayne, they gave you like a sweatshirt that somebody else had already worn. It's like, it's just kind of funny how it works out. And obviously you get treated differently based on like your priority, but yeah, it's that's a fun league. But yeah, Orlando is pretty sweet. I love that place.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Orlando and how sick of a place it is to play in. It's warm there year round, even though you got to spend 3 weeks there, but like, it's warm year round and you don't have to worry about the freezing cold like in Indy.
No. Indy was really cold. And yeah, going from a small town in Indianapolis to Indiana, and then going down to Orlando was a nice little change of pace. I was pretty pumped when the season ended. I was so bummed out, man. I was like, God, this place was so sweet. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, and you also, when you played in Fort Wayne, like, you don't see Fort Wayne as like a good like hockey city, but the fan base is pretty incredible from what I've heard.
Yeah, again, having nobody in hockey, I had no idea what Fort Wayne comments were, and then I get there and I'm like, I mean, we're playing in an arena here. This is like an NBA arena. Like, this is sweet. And then the fans pack that place too, and we're so into it and so passionate. Like, that's the best part of hockey. Everyone talks, they're so worried about, getting their stats or, all the things that, come with just playing the game. And I don't know, man, for me, it's just always been so fun. And then when they get to go play in fun places like that, it's like, where else would you rather be? Like, being in the net, I remember even just being in the net in Fort Wayne, one of those nights was like 10,000 people. I'm like, man, this is so cool. Like I've always just really enjoyed those moments. Like, I think a lot of people will let it go by and not really relish in like how cool some of the experiences were. Like, I mean, even college too. Like, I remember playing against Mankato, and it was in playoffs, and I had like all my family and friends there, and we end up winning like back-to-back games. Like, those are the moments that I don't think people really get to take in until it's over. And I've just my own personality, I've always really relished in all those cool moments that have come along the way.
Yeah, that's just sick. And like, everything you've learned from there, and just everything you experience is just absolutely incredible. It's phenomenal what you can see throughout playing a professional sport, like doing anything in life.
Yeah. No, I've been able to kind of garner a lot of knowledge about the game. And when I'm done playing, for sure, I want to go into coaching and hope be able to pass on that to the young guys, for sure.
Yeah, that's unreal. So like, one of the times when you're in Fort Wayne, I remember watching a YouTube video and you got slashed when you were going to the bench. Like, what happened there?
That will be one of the craziest moments of my life. So we had a guy in their team that was just a menace. Like, everyone knew he's just, would just run around and yap or whatever. So I didn't start that game. I played the night before, we won, and we went back to our other guy and struggled out the gate. I got put in at maybe the end of the first or right at the start of the second. So I maybe played like 8 minutes of that game. Like, and he had to come back in afterwards, after the fact. So I got in there, I made a couple saves. This guy came to the net, and I'm always yapping at guys, giving them, just always chirping. And I made a glove save on him, and I kind of laughed at him, I was kind of like that was it, and he was just like, I'm going to take your effing head off. And I was like, yeah, good luck, fucking luck, like whatever. And he just kept yapping. Like, I grabbed the water, I'm setting face off. He's still the face off, just yapping. I'm like, and I just kept smiling. I'm like, man, you're a joke. Like, relax. And ensuing face off, they take a penalty right off the puck drop. So I'm like, all right, I got to make the long second period skate. And sure enough, I'm skating. I see this guy at the corner eye, like lining me up. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this guy's not really doing this, is he? No, he's lining me up. He's skating. I'm like, he's actually going to come hit me. So he comes in, and I accidentally throw a flying elbow at him, and it kind of just braced myself and also inflict a little bit. Yeah. Well, he didn't like that. And so he, started cross-checking or whatever. Well, the cameras will never show it, which probably saved my entire hockey career, but I turned around and baseball swung at his knee. And this was all just like not like pre-orchestrated. Like I had my own thing. I was just like, I smoked him in the knee. And you can tell in the video, he's pretty fired up. That's why. But after that, it was just a complete brawl. I mean, and the night before they had ran a couple guys. I mean, that game was like fight and suit. Like it was just crazy. Like it was one of the most absurd hockey games ever. But that line brawl is classic. You got Hossie and Stu over the bench just hammering dudes. Like it was crazy. But the best part is none of it was like the camera guys there totally botched it. So they never caught me on video doing anything. So we're talking to the ECHL the next day. And I remember my coach is like, hey man, like, I don't know if they seen anything. Like you were just protecting yourself, right? And I was just like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I was protecting myself. Like, I don't even know what happened. I just played blacked out. So yeah, it was arguably the funniest thing ever because you can just see in the video, the refs holding him back. Like he's fired up. I mean, I just took a baseball swing at this dude's knee. Like, it was just nuts. And I just remember I skated back the net. I'm in the net. The whole place is booming, like going crazy. The ref comes to me. He's like, yeah, buddy, like you're out. Like, yeah, like you got kicked out. And so I get the long skate back. The whole place going nuts. I give him a little bit of this, just kind of embrace it. And we get in the locker room and like 4 of us got kicked out. We're just jumping around like, oh, like that was crazy. And it kind of sucked because we ended up losing. Like we were up, like when I came out of the game, I think it was like we were up 5-3 or something. And we ended up losing like 6-5. And the poor guy had to go back in Cole, and Cole's a great dude. And like just everyone just has those nights are just not his night, And I felt so bad. He had to go back in, and like he gave up like another one. And I was like, oh fuck, I'm sorry, Cole. Like, dude, I feel so bad. Like I did not plan on getting in a fight, but it was pretty funny, man. Again, that was another moment when like after the game, I got 50 texts from all my buddies going like, what the hell, you're on chiclets? And I'm like, yeah, one of these times I'll get on chiclets for like making a save, not dancing in the corner or fighting, like one of these times I'll get on there for the right reason. So it's kind of funny.
That's insane. You love when it gets intense like that though. And like,
oh yeah,
everything starts getting heated and like, you're just like, bring it on. You're fired up. Everyone's fired up and it's crazy.
I think like I'm unique from a goalie in the sense that a lot of goalies want to be like, hey, I'm just like cool, calm, collected. Like I'm a, no pulse kind of guy, just like kind of just go out business. And like I said, this is a game. Like it's always been hard for me to play games when it never felt like it mattered. Like as bad as that sounds, if we went and played a college team or whatever, and there was no fans or, a junior game, you're playing in front of 20 people, like, it's always been so hard for me to really fire it, like to be on, like, and I don't know why, but then you put a packed building, like the pressure situations, like we got 10 guys or, just anything like that. And I'm like, let's go. Like, this is the best. And maybe that's why I've always felt like I've always played really well in those big pressure situations, because I just embrace the craziness. I embrace the stress. I embrace the crazy moments. And that's been some of my best moments in hockey is when our back's against the wall and in the toughest environments.
Yeah, I love that. And like last week I had a similar situation in a game where it's like one of the other team's players who, like, my teammate made a great play on him to like get him separate him from the puck, and then he just started grabbing him and grabbed him with the head and just like put him in a headlock, and like the puck was going on the other side of the ice, so it's like no one was coming back. The ref wasn't even skating over there, so I was like, he's grabbing my teammate's head, so I'm like, I go over there and give him a little punch, and their bench gives it to me. He's like, oh, the goalie's getting into it, like all that shit, and it's like, I'm like saying like, yeah, like come on, let's go, and just like I love those types of games.
That's the best feeling.
Fires you up.
Gets you. It's like I said, it's a game, and I'm very lucky I get to play at the level that I'm at. And I get people for some reason give me money to do it, but this is the most fun thing you could ever do. It would kill me to have to go sit at a desk and work every day. This is especially those big time moments when you get the the juice is flowing, man. There's nothing better.
Yeah, and then the team's yapping at you the entire rest of the game. It's like you're just yapping
Oh
at
yeah,
them
every
back.
save they're coming to the net, and you're giving it right back to them, man. Like I love competition. That's the reason we do it.
Yeah, me too. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah.
So then going into this season, like we said earlier, you signed a deal in Briancon in France. So how's the season going for you? Like I know we talked about this a little earlier, but like how has your team been doing and like everything like that?
So I remember like after like during the summer with like COVID and stuff, my agent was like, man, there's just not a lot of money out there for anybody, and there's not a lot of leagues that are really planning on playing. And so I told him, I said, look, I want to go to a team where I can be the guy, and I can just, I can just play and kind of prove myself again. And if it means working my way up and getting over in Europe and showing what I have, I'll do it. And Briancon called. It was a Canadian coach that me and him kind of hit it off right away. And it was a team that won 4 games last year out of an entire pro season. So they were terrible. And again, like for me, I was like, bring it on. Like, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can spin this boy around. And I think we've already won 4 games out of like the 11 games I've played. So I'm like feeling pretty happy about that, and it's compared to some of the other teams in the league, we struggle with some guys, but we have a really good locker room, and guys have really started to like kind of come a long way developing wise. So personally, every night I definitely get tested. I definitely got to bring my A game, that's for sure. And it's pretty rewarding. I think a couple of the wins I've had like 53 and like 47 saves. So it's like you kind of got to earn your wins. You got to really bring it, and that's cool. I mean, again, for a goal, I had that in high school when we gave a ton of shots, we could score goals. So I was like, okay, like what, bring it on. You got to be the guy. You got to really bring it, and it's kind of those same things. I know every night I'm going to have to be on my game, and there's that pressure involved, which again, it helps me play better. And last month for sure, we only play 1 game a week, so it's tough. But last month has gone really well, and team's kind of trying the right way. So we don't know if we're even going to have playoffs. I mean, that's how crazy it is over here. Like we don't know. So if we have playoffs, I hope we do it because we're trying in the right direction, and hopefully we can kind of get a win. The 1 game a week, it's kind of like football. It's a lot of prepping, and it's definitely unique. You used to pro hockey, you're playing a ton of games. The coach, you're playing 4 games 5 nights, or you're going 3 cities, and right now we're playing 1 game a week. Like it's really unique.
Yeah, for sure. It's like throughout like all the bad times during the season, like your mind takes a toll on you as well as your body. So like, what do you do to help your body and mindset stay recovered and stay positive especially throughout a rough stretch?
Yeah, I think a rough stretch comes through every season. Like even your best years, you have a couple of game stretch where you're like, man, I just don't have it right now, and you're just not feeling it. And for me, it's always been pretty simple. It's okay. You take a step back. Like for me, I call my goalie coach and I say, like, get me back on track. What do I do well? What do I need to do to get my game back to its simplest form? Because like I said, I've always been more have to rein it in than to really, do more. And it's always get back to the same simple drills, the same simple mindset, the same, hey, don't worry about the saves. Don't worry about anything. Just worry about, what, I'm going to give my team a chance. I'm going to win this game tonight. Worry about just trying to win. If you can do that, you don't think so much about, oh my God, that was a like when you're in it, you're every shot, like, holy shit. Or it's every rebound that you don't like, you're like, you get frustrated. But, when you're playing well, you're just having fun. You're playing a game. So it's just getting back the sense where I think for me, the simplest way to put it is when things are going bad, you just really take a step back and go, you're playing pro hockey, life could be a lot worse. Just get back to working hard, having some fun. If it means getting to the rink early and playing some sewer, throwing the football around, like this is a kid's game. You're lucky you get to do it. And so if you're going to be negative about it the whole time, it's going to be a negative time. So why don't you just have some fun, get back to having fun, and just go show what you can do. And, it always seems like when you're in a struggle, it only takes is 1 save or 1 good drill in practice or, 1 game, and you're like, oh, I'm back. Like, you just know you're back. And I think that's probably of all the lessons I've learned as a goaltender, not just in life lessons, but you're never as bad as you think you are, and you're never as great as you really think you are. So the best thing you can do is just enjoy it and have some fun while you're doing it.
Exactly. And just when you keep it simple and like start thinking simple, like it's amazing how simple the game can get, and like how on track you can keep yourself back on. Just it's unreal how that works, because you wouldn't think it would work like that, but when you do, it comes naturally.
Right. Yeah. And and I've never been a guy like, and maybe it's to my own fault, but I've never really been a big gimmick guy. Like I'm not, I'm not buying like the new goalie technology, and I'm not doing like the craziest stretches, or, I'm not going home and throwing the ball against the wall for 7 hours. Like, don't get me wrong, I take my job very seriously and I love hockey, but I think what makes me successful at it is that like I said, my mindset's always been so simple of that it's just a game and I have fun with it. And when I play it, like my determination to keep the puck in it has always been something I think that's carried me, is that, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep the puck out of the net. And I want it more than the guy shooting the puck. So it comes back to those basic things. And yeah, like I said, I take my job seriously, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and you just got to have fun with it. And it comes easier when you're just having fun, just not really stressing too much over everything. And it's right. Amazing. It's amazing how that works.
It's crazy, man. I think the lessons you learn along the way is especially practice. Most practices aren't meant for goalies. Coaches don't go, hey, how can we get, Packy some good touches today? So a lot of practices, if you really think about it, they're meant for the guys to score goals. So another thing for me is, every save in practice, hey, you did your job. You're trying, it's 3-on-0s, 2-on-0s. It don't matter what the drill is. You just try and keep the puck out of the net, and you do that. And when you're not, you say, yeah, it's not meant for me. Get the next one. Can't be. That's not that serious. Just try and stop the next one. That's all you can do.
Exactly, 100% there. So I have a few more questions for you. So what are some tips for goaltenders looking to get to that next level?
Oh, I'm terrible at that. Like I said, all you can really do, man, is not look too far ahead. I think when players get in trouble, it's where am I going to play next year? Our junior team scout me, our college team scout me. If you're not thinking about how I'm going to stop the next puck, you've already lost. So best thing you can do is wherever you're at, whatever league, if you're in the best league, the worst league, whatever, as long as you're stopping the next puck, you'll always find an opportunity. Someone's going to want you. If you can stop the puck, if you're a good person, you're fun to be around, everything will work out for you. And at the end of the day, whatever's supposed to happen happens, man. You can't ever too stress that much about it.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip for everyone. So this next question is a good one. So what is your favorite pump up song when you want to get the juices flowing, like during like warm ups, when you're lifting, like anything?
Oh, have you ever heard of the Big Booty mixes on SoundCloud? You know what those are? Yeah. My buddy introduced me to those about, I'd say, a year ago, and now that's all the time. 1 through 18, we're putting those on, and I love house music. I love hard rock music. I like to get pretty pumped up. So Big Booty mixes work, and I can always find some good ones in that one. Good bangers.
Absolutely, that's awesome. So my final question for you is, what's been some of your favorite pro hockey moments so far?
What was that?
What's been some of your favorite pro moments so far?
Pro moments. I think obviously my first pro win was like pretty special, just because it wasn't an easy path to get from college to pro. Like it wasn't a super easy transition. Like I didn't plan on going over to England. It was kind of a long period of figuring out where I was going to go. So that first pro win was a hell of a feeling. And the coast, man, playing on the coast, like it's such a cool feeling, because how close you are to the NHL. You're a couple injuries away, and you're always going to get, or even to the American League. You're always so close. So you're every day. It's that excitement of you're chasing your dream. And I think that's what kind of always has stirred me. Even to this day, like I want to be an NHL goalie, and if it means taking the craziest path to get there, I'll do it. Like it's never bothered me. And so I think it's just all those little moments. If it from the on ice street fights in the coast to being over in France and no one's speaking a lick of English, and the fans screaming at you after you went on the road, everything's the same, man. It's all positive. It's all fun. It's all good memories.
Yeah, for sure. That's just so much fun to be a part of, and just everything. That's just so cool, and that's unreal.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so Packy, this has been a ton of fun. I really appreciate your time, and I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to wish you the best of luck going forward with the season, wherever you end up next year, the year after, into the NHL, like wherever you are. Like, good luck, and I'll always be following your career.
I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate the support always. So you take care, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. You too.